So we've covered West Point and Maldron in the last two videos, so now we only have two places left. So for our third location in this Where Should You Spawn series, we have Rosewood. Now Rosewood is like the complete opposite of West Point. Where West Point has tons of zombies and tons of loot, Rosewood has few zombies but not a lot of loot. So I'm going to be straight up and say that this place is perfect for beginners because out of all four spawn locations, this one is the smallest and has the lowest amount of zombies. And since it's a smaller town, it will be much easier to memorize so you can be able to know where you are right when you spawn in. But the downside of the town being small is there are fewer places to loot, but the few locations in town actually do hold some pretty decent loot, so let's look at them. So we're going to start off at the very left side of town where we have a police and fire station right next to each other. The police station will obviously have some guns for you, and then the fire station will not only have tools such as an axe, but will also hold firefighter uniforms which provide pretty good protection, and on top of that, this room right here usually holds medical supplies, so if you're injured you may want to drop by. Then if we look a tiny bit to the south, we see this construction site which doesn't really have much in the ways of loot, but could make for a pretty good base since it's already completely fenced off. Then all the way on the far right side of town, surrounded by residential buildings, we have the elementary school where you can loot for books, but if you aren't able to find the books you want there, you can head over to the bookstore that is more towards the center of town. Now before we continue, I do want to warn you that this main road here going through Rosewood is where the majority of zombies in town will be, so even though Rosewood does have a lower population than most other locations, this area could still pose a threat if you aren't careful. But continuing on with the tour, right below the bookstore is a doctor's office that is pretty small but could still hold some valuable medical supplies. And then a little bit above there is a clothing store that you can visit in case you want to be dripped out for the apocalypse, because killing zombies looking like this is fine, but wouldn't you rather want to be a zombie killing machine and be stylish at the same time? But moving on, behind all these stores we just looked at, there's a gated community which could also make for a pretty decent base. Then above there we have a bar in case you get a little dehydrated, and then all the way at the top of town we have an auto repair shop and a gas station. So even though the town is small, it still has some pretty good places to loot. But now on to what I believe is the best part about Rosewood, which is the location. Now you may be a little confused by this because it's kind of towards the edge of the map, and most of the notable looting locations are very far away from Rosewood. But there are two spots which I think make Rosewood a really good place to spawn. So a little to the left of Rosewood you have the prison, which I believe is the only prison in the entire map. And realistically, it probably isn't the best idea to go there because of the huge amount of zombies, but imagine clearing out a chunk of the prison and fortifying it so you could live there. As a Walking Dead fan, I find that to be pretty badass. And then much further to the left, all the way out in the woods, is a secret military base which has all the guns and ammo you could ever ask for, but there are a ton of zombies there, so be prepared if you want to go there. And then lastly, to the south of Rosewood, we have a pond and tons of farmland, so you have a water source and the option to live out in the county if you decide you aren't for that city life. So in conclusion, Rosewood is very small, so you won't see as many zombies, but you also won't get as much loot as you would if you spawned at West Point. But that doesn't mean the loot there is bad, because there are some pretty good locations where you can find some valuable materials. Rosewood is very far away from most places like Riverside, West Point, and Louisville, but the prison and military base make the location much more interesting. So like I said earlier, this place is perfect for people new to Project Zomboid, and is a great way for people to dip their toes in the game without dying 10 times in one day. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and if you did, please go down and hit that like and subscribe button. It's a great way to support the channel, and comment down below if you think Rosewood is a good place to spawn, and I'll see you all in the next one.